Has God laid something on your heart and mind that He is wanting you to do? Well, it's not by accident that He has chosen you for this particular task at this moment in time. In chapter 11 of Hebrews, it is called the Hall of Faith. And there are many names listed in there from the Old Testament, along with people that are anonymous, that shared their faith, lived it, and also lost their lives for their faith. Through the obedience and keeping the faith and their obedience to God, it changed their lives, it changed people's lives through history, and it will change yours and mine when we read it. God is not asking you nor me to do what these people have already done. When He chooses you and me for a particular task, it is for this particular moment in time, and He will be right there when we obey Him and keep the faith and help carry out His plan. I want to speak of two people that are listed in the Hall of Faith. The first one is Abraham. We're not going to go into detail about all of his life. We just want a glimpse into a certain time in his life where he put his faith in action. He was around 100 years old, and Sarah, his wife, was around 90 years old when they had their son Isaac. And several years later, God told Abraham to take Isaac up into a mountain and to offer him up on an altar as a burnt offering. Abraham takes Isaac, wood for a fire, and a knife, and goes to that mountain, prepares an altar, and he binds Isaac. And just before killing him, an angel of the Lord stops him and says, "Do not kill Isaac. And because you have obeyed God and not withheld your son, that in thy seed shall all of the nations of the earth be blessed." God has kept that promise. Abraham, just the obedience of one. The second person I want to speak about is Rahab. She was a Canaanite, she was a harlot, and she was a liar. To me, all of these things makes her an unlikely person that God would want to use in His plan for the Israelites to go into Jericho. But how wrong I am. So very thankful that God looks on her heart and knows what's in there. God knew Rahab's heart. He knew He could count on her to carry out His plans for the Israelites. Joshua sends out 2 spies from the Israelite camp to go into Jericho before invading it, to spy on the military and the people there in Jericho. They go lodge in Rahab's house that night, and some of the men in Jericho, along with the king, had heard that they were there. These men go to Rahab and ask where the men are. They know they're there. But Rahab says, "They were here. I did not know where they came from. They left, and I don't know what direction they went in." These two things are not true. You can read the scripture in the Bible about this. The messengers leave. The ones from Jericho leave. Rahab goes to her rooftop on the house where she has hidden the spies. And she begins to talk to the Israelites. And she says that she knows that God has found favor with the Israelites and they will capture Jericho. She has heard the stories about the Israelites escaping Egypt and how God parted the Red Sea, and also how He protected them for 40 years in the wilderness. Then she asked the 2 spies if when they invade Jericho, will they spare her life and her family. They give her some stipulations that she has got to obey when they do invade Jericho. She agrees to it, and they agree to spare her life and her family. When the walls of Jericho fell, and the Israelites marched in and invaded, Rahab's life and her family were spared. She had kept God's people safe. She had saved the spies, the Israelite spies. She had saved their lives. It was in God's plan to use Rahab, and he found favor with her in sparing her life and her family. She even told the spies when she talked to them, she said, "The Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth below." She knew God. God saw her heart. Rahab was in God's plan. Rahab, the obedience of just one. Now, on a side note here, I want to tell you, if you want to look in Matthew 1, Rahab is listed in the lineage of Jesus Christ. It also tells that she is the mother of Boaz, the Boaz that married Ruth. God's not looking for perfect people. He is looking for someone whose purpose is to serve him, who will ultimately share Jesus Christ, his Son, with someone, that shares him with someone, that shares him with someone, and on and on. The extraordinary who is God chooses and uses the ordinary, the people of this world. The people that I mentioned and many more have carried out God's plan in history. They had a heart for God. Our actions will reflect our faith, and remember the obedience of just one.